Morning, America. Today we are going to go about 40 miles southwest of Fort Worth to a little town of Glen Rose. (1836 to 1846). Well, that was the 10 years that Texas was its own country, the Republic of Texas. And during that time, in 1843, a guy named Charles Bernard came out. He was from New England somewhere, and he came out to Texas to get his fame and fortune and all that. And he ended up opening a trading post. That was down here along the Paluxy River. And what he was trading with was the local Indians. I think it was Comanches and the Waco tribes. And he was a trader, a trading post. And he got along with them and everything. And one day, he makes a really good trade. He traded for a young Mexican girl named Juana Cavazos. And she was the daughter of a wealthy Mexican family or Spanish family down in Mexico or in the what was then the Texas territories. Before that was Texas territories. It was part of Mexico. And anyway, he made a trade for her to get her freedom because they had kidnapped her. And ended up they fell in love and got married. They ran this trading post together for several years. And they didn't really have a name for it, I don't think. And until the 1850s, late 1850s, the Indians were rounded up and sent to reservations, Indian reservations, mostly up in Oklahoma, I think. And they didn't have anybody to trade with anymore. There just wasn't as many people around. So what Charles Bernard did was he built a grist mill for grinding grain. And the area became known as Bernard's Mill, okay? And that was the name of the town or the community or the settlement or whatever. And in 1871, a guy named T.C. Jordan, he was from Dallas, he came down and he bought the place, bought the area, bought the mill and everything. And T.C. Jordan's wife, she was a native of Scotland. And to remind her of home, she decided she wanted to call it Rose Glen. Well, the city, the citizens of the town decided they didn't like the sound of that, but they liked the sound of Glen Rose better. So they changed the name of the town to Glen Rose back in 1874. Then through the years, they built the town up, and of course they had a courthouse of sorts. They had a log cabin, and it ended up burning down. And then in 1892, they decided to build a proper courthouse out of native limestone. And they built it up in 1892, and then in 1893 it burnt down, or mostly burnt down. And they rebuilt it, and this is the proper one that they have now. And in 1893 they rebuilt it, and then in 1902 a tornado come along and tore it up. So the courthouse has had a rough time, I guess. In the early 1900s, Glen Rose was known for a mineral spring, and back in those days, there was a lot of people thought that mineral springs would really, improve your health, which they may, I don't know, but there was a lot of self-healers and doctors and stuff like that came here to Glen Rose to set up shop and everything, whether legitimate little doctors or snake oil salesmen, charlatans. But anyway, they set up this place where you can go out there and soak in the mineral wells or mineral springs. And that was I couldn't find it while we were down here. We looked around, couldn't find a place. Later on, I kind of find the actual location of the mill or the springs was under the inn on the river, and right next door was the Glen Hotel. So when people would come to town, they would stay in the hotel and then go next door to the springs and get healed, so to say. And from what I understand, in the 20s, Glen Rose was kind of known as the moonshine capital of the area. So I guess there's quite a few stills working in this area out here. In 1974, they started construction on the Comanche Peak nuclear power plant, And you can see it, it's about 5 miles straight north of here. And it's up there along the horizon. You can see the two reactor domes. And while we're walking around the courthouse, there's all kinds of plaques. It's almost like an open area museum. There's all kinds of plaques and information boards and stuff like that to walk around and check out. And it's just a nice, quaint little town. It's a really nice place if you wanted to take just take a motorcycle trip for the afternoon. Just get on your bike and ride out there to Glen Rose. I mean, if you live locally or close enough, with an hour trip or something, I wouldn't leave. I would drive all the way across country to see this town. But you know, if you're just wanting something to do for the weekend, jump in the car and drive to Glen Rose and walk around. It's like a free museum to walk around and check everything out. They're local down around the courtyard around the courthouse. There's all the little businesses, and there's a lot of little. Had the idea there was going to be a lot of antique stores and stuff like that, and it's not. There's mostly these little boutiques and you know little places to buy whatnots, I guess. Here on the courtyard, there's a sign, or a map, so to say, of the general area and everything, and we saw there were some really nice roads, you know, scenic roads, you know, to run along the river and everything. So we decided to drive out there and check this all out. And we come across a few of these low water crossings. And they're just, I don't know, they're just something, you don't see a whole lot of them. So they're kind of neat, you know. And a lot of people are in the river. It's hot, it's summer, and they go swimming. You come out to the river and go swimming and have a little picnic. All right, well, one last thing. Back here in town, there's this little cabin, and I didn't know much about it. It's John St. Helens, and okay, so I didn't know much about it. So I come home, and after we got back from the trip and everything, I went to doing some studying to make this video, and I'm gonna come across this. So I thought, that might be worth making a video about in itself. So yeah, maybe the next video that'll be what I'll talk about.